What's going on? Kevin Kenny, welcome to the Build Series live here in New York City. And the new Netflix series Westside has quickly become one of my new favorite series. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it really offers a raw inside look at what it looks like to be an aspiring musician trying to break big in 2018. And let's give a big, warm Build welcome to the cast members, Alexandra, Leo, and James. Now, before we get the group out here on stage on our nice couch, it's like a brand new couch. I love this. We're going to check out a teaser trailer for you to watch at home.
Yeah. Can you see my hands? We're all really out of our comfort zone.
We have 5 weeks to take our demons, our self-doubt, and turn it into a show that can change our lives forever.
There is a timeline. This is my last shot.
There's a lot of pressure. It's scary.
I haven't seen you sober in 24 hours.
I have the strongest songwriting ability. I gotta carry the team on my back.
We're going to mine our lives for the truths we want to share in this show. In order to build a sense of ensemble, we have to get everyone on the same page.
Being on this roller coaster ride, I'm still fighting and chasing this dream.
I gotta say something for myself.
Doing nothing has always been my biggest fear.
I'm here to write songs that are gonna sell.
Blown away by how talented each person is.
You're good enough. Don't get in your head.
All righty, joining us on stage, Leo, Alexandra, and James. How are we, guys?
Awesome.
Great.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Sorry, James, tell us how you are.
I'm okay.
You guys have a good Thanksgiving last week?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You were telling us in the back, Leo, you were on the beach.
I had Thanksgiving on the beach this year. It was
Yeah?
something brand new, but really beautiful, actually.
Any tips when throwing a Thanksgiving get-together on the beach?
Make sure you have a tent to cover the food for sand issues.
Yes, that's probably rule number one.
Rule number one, because you don't want to be chewing on, rocks.
No, that's never good. How did you guys spend the holiday?
I was in Naples, Florida with my family.
Nice.
We all live
from
in
Florida?
No, I'm actually originally from Southern Illinois.
That's what I thought.
And then I moved to LA to be a part of this amazing project.
Right.
And so now my family's completely spread out. So it was great to all be together again.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Probably warmer than it is right now in New York City, right?
Yes, I was like, tan me, please. So wide.
How about you, James?
I went back home to Modesto, hung out with my family,
Nice.
had the bird.
Nice. Had the bird. I like that. This show is fascinating, and I was saying to you guys in the back, but I am a huge fan of it because I don't really know what I'm looking at when I'm watching it, because it's part singing competition, right? There's almost like The Voice or Idol elements to it, but then it's like a reality. No, you don't think so at all?
That's what makes it completely different, is that we weren't competing throughout the whole process.
Well, right. Well, why do you immediately say no, James?
Well, because it's not a competition show. We are not in competition with each other. We're all collaborating to create something together, which makes it inherently different from all those other shows.
Well, okay, but there is some competition on this show, James, and I think you're at the center of it. You want to just dive right in?
Sure, go for it, man. Hit me with your best shot.
All right.
Or
if
the
you haven't
illusion.
dove into the series yet, the first real rivalry we see in the pilot is you versus Austin. So let's break it. You know what? Let's just go straight to the open mic night to set the scene for you guys. And this is great because Leo's here. So when you guys have this open mic night, it's supposed to be kind of like a stripped down, you just get up there with your acoustic guitar, super low key, just like getting your feet wet as a group early on. I think Sean sets the whole thing up. And then Austin, who's a bit of a showman, probably the biggest showman we have on the show, he brings a full band. Now, Leo, this doesn't bother you at all. As a matter of fact, you get up there with your guitar, no issue, you're happy to do it. James, you do not like that he does this.
It wasn't so much that I didn't like that he did it. It was that I was told on multiple times that nobody was going to be bringing a band. And I asked specifically because I was like, if someone is bringing a band, I would like to bring one as well, because I had a feeling that he was going to bring a band. But it wasn't necessarily that he brought the band that upset me. It was more that I had been told that there wasn't anybody going to be doing that.
But that's got to be rooted in competitiveness, no? That's competition right there, because you want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, I suppose to a certain degree, like, you know, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to make sure that the music that you're creating cuts through the sound at a bar. But it was more that I felt like the rules had been broken. It wasn't a competitive thing.
Gotcha.
Look, I think we're all humans, and so we each have our own little bit of competitiveness, especially when you put a bunch of artists in a room together. It's just going to happen because we're human. But I think what's beautiful about this show is that we kind of cut all that out, and we really worked through that and became a family out of it all. So
Totally. The show in certain reviews and publications has been described as Glee meets Real World, meets The Hills. Which of those shows did it feel the most like when filming it?
Because cameras are involved, reality.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is definitely difficult when you are aware that a camera is there and what to give and how to give when that's happening. But I feel like we all really jumped in and authentically tried our best and really did be authentically ourselves and write a song that was truly who we were to help build this show to the best that it could be. And now I have a family that isn't my family because of it, you know?
Yeah. How were you guys first approached individually about this show? Was it Sean reached out to you guys? Like, how did that work?
It kind of happened organically. I've worked with James before, actually, already, just through private events, and
Yeah,
he
so
actually met Sean on a boat.
yeah, me and Sean and Kate were on a cruise ship together singing. We were doing a show called For the Record on a Norwegian cruise line ship, and we were on there for like 6 months, and we were in these really tight quarters, and that's how the three of us bonded so closely. And then afterwards, he was like, let's make a show, you know, let's put something together to do in Los Angeles here at home. And so he reached out to everybody else and organically built this cast.
Wow. Now, Alexander, was there any apprehension on your behalf? You know, you hear a reality show, you don't know what to think.
Well, how I was approached by the show was kind of a little different because I was living in Illinois when I was approached.
Oh, no way.
And so it was really strange. Basically, there was a guy who I had worked with in St. Louis, knew me through music, found out about the show, ended up having an Uber ride with production. They needed another cast member, and he showed him my music, and I got the call the next day. So I did all of my, I guess, talking with the cast and interviewing with Sean and like seeing if I was going to be a good fit for the project over Skype. And then I packed up my bags knowing nobody, having no friends, having no family, and came out to this project. So there was a lot of apprehension. I was scared to death, but the minute that I met all of these people, that all kind of went away. So.
You have a great line in one of the episodes about how a place isn't necessarily a home, but like a person's a home. And you left your boyfriend of 5 years at the time back home in Illinois. And his name's Indiana?
His name's Indiana.
That was very confusing while watching the show. I was like,
Yes.
Indiana, Illinois?
For 6 years now, yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
How tough was that decision, though? Like, put that into context for us. I mean, you're leaving not only your home as in Illinois, but you're leaving Indiana, of course, and just 5 years to kind of risk it all.
It was really hard. I think Indiana and I knew in the back of our minds and in our hearts that we could make it through. We never thought for a second that it would end our relationship, but we knew there was going to be some hardships. And when you watch the show, you'll see that as well. It definitely wasn't easy for us, but he's always been so supportive of my career. And the day that I found out that I was chosen to be one of these 9 people, all I remember is like running into the house and telling him, and he just picked me up and hugged me and spun me around, was like, you have to go, you have to go, you have to do this. So he was never going to tell me anything other than go for it. This is what you've always wanted.
Totally. Sean makes a great point in the opening episode when you guys are all hanging out at the house the first time. And he says, you know, you guys are all so different. But there are some themes throughout everybody. And I think it's this desire, this ambition you all share. And I was curious, we'll go down the line. I'll start with you, James, of how far back, do you have an earliest memory of that desire to want to make it in music, to be a musician?
I just was a musician from the start. I've never wanted to be a musician. It's just how I was born. Like, my mom sang to me in the cradle, and I started singing the songs back to her, you know? And it's just always been in my blood. The need to make it is more of like a financial need than anything else. Like, if I could sustain myself, I would be perfectly fine living very humbly for the rest of my life. I just want to be myself and be a musician, you know, and keep creating and making art.
I mean, that's an awesome perspective to have. Did you always have that, or is that something that came with maturity and experience of realizing what making it means to you?
I think that developed over time, for sure. I think that there was a time when I was younger, when I was regurgitating things that were said to me when I was a kid, like, oh, you're going to be a rock star when you grow up. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, cool, rock star, what is that? So then you watch the Doors movie, and you're like, wow, that looks fun. You know, and then you get older, and you're like, you know, I really just want to be myself. I just want to be an artist. I just want to create. I just want to keep flexing that muscle and giving it to the people. You know, I just want to inspire others. It evolved over time, for sure.
Alexandra, how far back does it go for you? Do you have an earliest memory of that desire?
I think when I really knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, we had, you know, you have chorus in high school, but then we also had a separate club that was rock band. And there was this girl, and she sang Misery Business by Paramore. And I was sitting on the bleachers watching, I think it was my freshman year of high school, and she just had the whole room captivated. And I think that was the moment that I knew that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Leo, you got a pretty early start, right? You have a boy band past.
Yep.
What, 13 years old? You became
13.
Right, and it was what was it? Youth.
Youth Asylum.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, man. Now, what are your memories
Keep
of
reliving
that time?
it. Here come the boy band. No, it was actually incredible. My passion really started at a young age. I was a dancer first, so I couldn't help but move. So every time music would come on, like, I'd be entertaining my whole family for hours on end. But after dance, music trickled down from that, and I was always looking at Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, Frank Sinatra, and like Michael Jackson and Prince, just like gawking at the TV, like, I can do that. That's really where it all started, and my mimicking and dancing and performing just made me that much more of an entertainer and a well-rounded entertainer than just a singer or just a dancer. Because I went to school for just dance, but then outside I would be doing demos for music and, you know, exercising the fields in their own way. Because I've never been a really big musical theater person for that reason. I love dance for what it is and music for what it is, but finally I'm doing both on this show too, which is what I've always wanted to do, which is do it my own way, or do it telling my story as opposed to getting in a costume and doing someone else's story, you know what I mean? But like James, it has evolved. Like I haven't always believed in myself the way I do now. At times in my life, I just wanted the fame, but now I'm like, screw fame. Like, I just want to be an artist, and I want to do what makes sense to me, and, you know, do it right. You know, at least have something for people on television to look at and be inspired by instead of a competition show. You know, and that's what I really feel special. That's really special about this show that we're on, and how I can express myself with that. You know, growth.
You take Austin aside during a photo shoot. Austin's probably, it's safe to say, the youngest, or one of the youngest, I guess.
He's the youngest soul.
Right, the youngest soul. I like that.
Put it, Leo.
Yeah, youngest soul.
Yeah.
Well, you take him aside and you tell him that he reminds you of yourself. Mm-hmm. What about Austin reminds you of yourself?
I used to be the guy that would write something down and say, God, doof, that is amazing. We can leave now. You know, I used to be that guy, and I watched him do it over and over again. And I go, wow, I'm so thankful I have a team. I'm so thankful I had people in my life that would just be like, yo, don't do that. Don't say that. Like, take care of yourself. You don't have to say all these extra smoke and mirrors, which is why I think Austin brought a full band his first time, because he can't. I'm not saying he can't. I feel like he isn't able to do it without the band, the support, the things that, the glasses, the bling, all the things. The facade, like, be real. That's all we really wanted at the end of the day from Austin, and that's never what we got. And, you know, it is what it is.
You and James seem to have similar paths in terms of, you know, wanting this rock star fame, wanting to be famous, but then realizing at some point in time along that journey, that's not really what makes you happy. I'm curious to compare and contrast, though. What was the moment for each of you?
A friend of mine named Jeff Cook went to acting school with me. And he, years later, I gave up the acting thing. I was like, I just want to be a musician. This is my true love. And I wrote this tune, and he got assaulted and was battered, like, really badly. And he was in the hospital. And he sent me a message saying, hey, man, that song got me through my depression. I was super duper depressed. I had like PTSD over this issue, and that song like lifted me up every day. And when I realized that like something that I created had the ability to do that for somebody, I was like, that's it right there. You know, like that feeling that came to me like a beam of sunlight right into my spirit. Like hearing that somebody felt that way about something I created was it, you know.
Who does that for you, though? Because you're very honest and open and transparent with some of the issues that you faced during the taping of this. That's amazing and beautiful. You're able to provide that for a friend of yours, but who provides that for you? Maybe it's an artist, maybe it's a friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole slew of things. I mean, you know, it's anybody who has the courage and the wherewithal to get real with you. You know, it's an artist that like really cracks open their heart and like gives you the real thing, the raw deal. You know, I'm really big on lyricism being an exploration of something that's like deep and that like is a through line for all people. But I think that as long as it's true for you, it will be for someone else as well. So I feel like that's our job as artists, is just to find out what the truth is, go deeper and deeper into it, and try to say it in the most like real and honest way possible.
And these two are like lyricists.
Yeah.
Their writing is incredible, and I have.
So are you.
Thank you. I have like melodies and all this stuff I keep sending to them because I want to write with them because their words and how they tell stories. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, you come from the world of country, Alexandra.
Yes, country music all the way.
I mean, if we're going to talk lyricism, right? No, but if we're going to talk lyricism, right?
It's like anytime country music gets brought up, I'm like, yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah. No, please. I mean,
No,
where
but
does
it's my
that love come
passion.
from?
It's how I what I grew up listening to. It's been everything that's got me through life and being a teenager and love, and it's what I've turned to my whole life for everything. And when I first started writing music, which I was a writer before I was a singer, and the only reason anybody even knew I could sing was because I tried to sing them my songs, and then they were like, wait, you can sing a little bit. But when I started writing, it always came out just sounding like a Jody Messina song, sounding like Sarah Evans, sounding like Faith Hill. And then I was just like, okay, this is my thing. And I rolled with it. And really, I just fell in love with country music because George Strait, Garth Brooks, I mean, the storytelling, Hank Williams, I mean, it was just... It shaped me as a child, you know? And so I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to tell stories. And
What was that song you sent me, Better Boat?
Yeah, the new
God.
Kenny
She
Chesney
sent-
song.
She sent me a song. I was like, oh,
I cry.
why don't I do country? Because it's just storytelling, and all of a sudden it's put in this way that it really reaches towards your soul and pulls out everything that's authentically there naturally.
Right. And now Kenny's doing stadiums. I mean, a lot of people are... that's resonating with them as well.
Oh, for sure.
What do you make of country nowadays? Because it's such an exciting genre where there's like it's just blending with everybody. Like Kane Brown has a song coming out with Marshmello.
Yes.
Of course, Maren Morris and Zedd had the huge hit earlier this year with The Middle.
Kelsey and Chainsmokers just did
Yeah.
something.
Wow. Great point.
Yeah, so I love it. I'm not gonna lie. When I first started, because you notice I just named a bunch of country singers. I'm sorry, I just
Old
named
school.
a bunch of '90s country singers, or later, or earlier. So at first, you know, it was hard for me to digest. It really was, because I felt like it was moving further away. But really, it's amazing because everybody is wanting to do country music now. I mean, you've got Marshmello wanting to be on a country song. You've got Chainsmokers wanting to be on a country song. And so I feel like it's getting the attention that country music deserves, which I feel like it was really hard for it to kind of break through that barrier, because a lot of people either love country music or they hate country music. So I think it's really great that it's kind of bringing everybody together, because that's what music is about, you know? It doesn't have to be, I love country or I hate country, or I love pop or I hate pop. It's music. It speaks to everybody in its own way, and I think it's really great.
What is the country scene or country-leaning scene like in LA? Because you think of it, country, of course, you think Nashville.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard to play country music in LA, because a lot of the places, they only have one country night. And I found that when I first moved there and I was trying to get gigs, they only have one night that they play country music, and they usually already have a band that plays it.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but there is a place for it.
Totally.
And I think that there's a lot of talented people in LA playing country music as well.
Speaking of LA, it's really a character unto itself in the show. I think the opening line that you even hear in the pilot is that it's easy to get used in LA if you're young and beautiful. Would you guys attest to that?
Absolutely. That was me saying that.
Oh, was that you? Well, you can't tell. It's a voiceover. I was wondering who it was.
Those were my words.
Those were
Just speaking from experience, you know, like I've done a lot of things, and every time I've seen it, they would just edit in my face and then edit out the rest. Or like they would just use the good stuff and then not really get deeper into who I was. And I was like, okay, cool. I feel used right now for my beauty. Great, thanks. But at the end of the day, that's art and commerce. Like there's a give and take with all the things that we say yes to, all the gigs that we say yes to, and the power of no when it's the right time to say no, when it's the right time to say yes for you, what that positive no is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've worked with people that were clearly just trying to sleep with me. I've worked with people that were probably sociopathic, you know, that were like working out some weird thing that they had going on inside of them and just working it out on me, you know. Artists, like, you know, especially when you're young, like you just want to make stuff, you know. You're just like get excited by anybody, you know. And if you don't know, like I moved to Los Angeles when I was 17 years old. Wow. You know what I mean? I was a baby, and I had no idea that like people could be as, you know, deviant as some of the people that I met were.
Right. Do you guys have any advice? Because there is so much to learn. We were joking in the back, but I was serious. Like, there is a lot to learn on this show that can teach young musicians that are trying to do what you guys are doing. I would love to go down the line. One piece of advice on trying to make it in music, or maybe trying to make it in LA specifically?
My always go-to is just be a good person. Yeah. Your talent, who you are, will always get you the opportunities. But what will get you the next job, because I always say that I've worked constantly because my job has always gotten me the next job because, I made friends with the makeup person who had a friend that wanted to do something next week. And I was like, cool, let's do it. My rate's this, and my rate kept going up. But it was I realized it was who I was just being myself on set, rubbing elbows with the people that make things happen. Be a kind person, because that is what it boils down to. Always.
Yeah. In any line of work, really.
In any line of work, man. Just be a kind human being and you will be straight. Do your job, obviously, but be kind while you do your job, and everything will play itself out beautifully.
Yeah.
And Leo's really been that for us in our family of 9. I think there's a lot of times where, you know, you guys watch us unload a lot of really heavy baggage on the show. And I think that there's a lot of times when we get down on ourselves, and any musician, any artist, you know, you beat yourself up. And I think Leo's really kind of been that sunshine when we all need it, to be like, hey guys, you know, this sucks and we're all broke and we're all reaching for our dreams, but look at the opportunity that we have. And so he has really, really always been that positivity that we need.
Definitely. James, any piece of advice?
Charles Bukowski says, find what you love and let it kill you. I would posit that you should find what you love and let it live through you.
Oh, all right. I like that. All right.
I love that.
Some snaps. All right. Well, on the snaps, let's turn it over to the fans. We've got some great questions, and the first will come from right here.
Hi. Thank you all for opening up your stories to us. I wanted to know, speaking on like working with different people and being collaborative, if there was anybody you would have the opportunity to collaborate with, who would it be and why? Like musically.
You want to start?
Yeah, because I immediately thought Jesus. Yeah, I would really like to collaborate with Jack White from the White Stripes. He has so many side projects that he did after he did White Stripes, and he just seems like such a creative and detail-oriented person. It would just be cool to be around that kind of creative energy and kind of tap into it.
Songwriting-wise, I got to write my single for the show. You Think You Know Someone. I got to write it with Shane McAnally, who has written everything in country music. And so, honestly, I would go back and I would write with Shane McAnally again. It was an amazing experience. And I think, like I was going to say earlier, for just my little piece of advice is to be open to collaboration. So with anybody and everybody.
I'd say I really would love to work with Pharrell. I think he just gets it. But as well as I want to do a lot with rappers. Like I want to be a pop soul vocal on a lot of rappers, Jay-Z or, you know, Kanye or Kendrick Lamar, you know, like those are the people like I would love to sing and use their lyrics with my voice and collaborate on that kind of way. Yeah.
Great question.
Right?
Thank you.
Let's get to our second audience question right over here.
Hey.
Hey.
So in the famous words of Drake, this industry is very cutthroat. So I wanted to know how each of you network within this industry, in the music industry, and find your strong connections and mention back to before and not actually deviant people, but genuine people. How are you able to do that?
I don't know how I'm able to do it because it's not as though I really go out and look for people. At this point, I have to like kind of throw it up to like the universe just providing the right people and finally having the discernment to know who's a good person and who's not necessarily a good person for me. And just like Leo said, it's so important to just be a good person, and that's how you get your next jobs. And I think that like whenever I'm afforded the opportunity to work with someone, it's an opportunity to get to know a new human being. And like if you come to it with that level of like curiosity about who the person is and what they want, and you try to help them make what they want, you know, that's, in my opinion, a successful and healthy collaboration and relationship.
And definitely just like putting yourself out there. I think that the first big step for any artist that's wanting to do anything is to do something. You know, you have to start telling people that you're a songwriter. You have to start going to shows. You have to start meeting other musicians and being like, hey, do you want to write? Do you have time next week? And I mean, it's nothing fancy. You sit in an apartment and you write a song together, you know, but you meet that person, they introduce you to that person, they introduce you to that person, and that's how you start to kind of build your friends and work with who you want to work with.
It's cutthroat if you believe it's cutthroat. You know, if you believe in what you have to offer and know that you're the only person that can sound the way that you sound or express the way that you express, you're already winning. There's no such thing as competition, especially if you're looking at someone and you're like, oh man, I wish I had those vocals. There's no separation between you and that person. Mm-hmm. You know, we're all connected. You know, what you have, I don't have, I can appreciate and go, I'm going to pretend like I'm you now on stage. And then that energy recycles itself. That's how to really get up and gain what you want in this life, is to see it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Time for one final question.
Hi, I have an online question from Serena. What is your songwriting process like, and how does it change when you collaborate?
It changes. It changes. I think majority of the time melodies will just come in, or rhythms also where it starts. I do these things called like musical meditations or mantras where like rhythm is what catapults it, and then all of a sudden melody will come through, and then either it'll grow into something bigger or die and I'll do something new. But I think collaboration actually helps a lot more than just being by yourself. But you have to be in the mood to do that too, because we're all emotional and like, this is my song. Sure. But it definitely fluctuates. Like there's no right or wrong way. It's just the way of the artist.
I think collaboration was the hardest thing for me to learn to do, especially because I'm so used to writing about my breakups and all the hard things that made me cry in my life. So that's really what made me start writing songs anyways, was just a way to get all of that stuff out as a teenager. And so it was really hard. It's hard to be vulnerable in front of people that sometimes you don't really know the people you're writing with that well. And it's hard for you to be like, here are my innermost thoughts and hurtful things that have happened to me in my life. But it's hard, but you have to know that you're all doing it. And just learn to be uncomfortable or comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the best way to go about collaborating. Mm-hmm. Learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that my songwriting process is part of a holistic artistic lifestyle in general, and that